Well, I'm here backstage in Clwb Bach in Cardiff with Jonny, who is Euros Childs and Norman Blake. Hi, both of you. Hello.
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 First of all, Jonny, where did this kind of journey start, Norman?
Right, well, I think you were up staying at my house. We were sort of hanging out together, and we'd been sort of writing some little songs together. And we came up with this idea that we would record 2 songs and put out a 7-inch single, and actually maybe even just press up a couple of hundred and take like 100 each and give them away or sell them at gigs. But then from that, we recorded I think 3 or 4 things, and then a bit of time passed. We got back together again, and then we wrote some more songs, and more time passed, and we got back together. And eventually, we had an album's worth of songs. And so we thought, okay, well, maybe we should make an album. And it was going to be a kind of very low-key thing. We were going to really just record it either at my place or at Raymond from Teenage Fan Club has got a home studio with a little drum machine. And then I was talking to Paul Savage, who runs Chemical Underground Studio, KM19, and he said, oh, you know, we've got some downtime. If you can use that, we give you a good rate. So at that point, I think we thought, oh, that would be quite good, and it's going to be a little cheaper than it might have cost. And also we could maybe use a drummer and a bass player. So we called a couple of people that we knew in Glasgow, and they came along to the studio, and we played the songs for them, and then we recorded them. And so that's a very long answer, and I do apologise. But I mean, you have to go out, you know, it's been a long story.
That's going back a few years, though, isn't it?
Well, yes, we first started writing and whatnot December 2006. And then that's when we recorded, I think we recorded 2 of the songs that are actually on the album, The Good Night and Bread. And that was going to be part of an EP, like Norman was, as Norman was explaining. But I think between both of us doing different things, the idea, we didn't have the name Jonny then, so we didn't have a name as such. That came a few years later, I think. But the whole thing hasn't had a time scale, it hasn't had a timetable or any, it's purely, it came into existence because we wanted to just sing together and write together. So it comes from, as any band would start, really, as if you're a kid in school, that's how you start, and this has started the same way, really, you know. Yeah.
You're my mate, do you want to join me in a band, kind of thing?
I like that, yeah.
You mentioned that you were, Euros was staying at your house, Norman. So the friendship, does that go back quite a few years?
Well, it does. We played together when Euros was with Gorky's, and we toured together, Teenage Fan Club and Gorky's, and so it goes back to then, really, doesn't it? Because
when was that tour? I remember seeing you join the Gorky's. 2001.
Yeah, the first tour we did was '97, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, so way back then. And then was it 2001 that I played guitar?
2000.
It
was a Monkey 2000.
Yeah. Which we did in 2001.
Gives it away. Yeah. I remember seeing that tour, and it was brilliant. It was in 2 parts, wasn't it? And
yes.
Was it an acoustic part, and then?
Yeah, it was sitting down for the first half, and then. I can't remember. Did you play in the first? Did you sit down with us? I think you only played the.
Played in the second half. I was off.
Yeah.
I was drinking beer backstage at that point and getting outrageously drunk, so that when I came on stage I couldn't play the guitar properly and ruined the entire show. Do you remember we got in a fist fight halfway through the...
that was a low point.
Yeah. It was a lot, but it was good fun doing that, actually. And so yeah, we've just really kept in touch, and when Euros has been in Glasgow playing, we get together, and so yeah, but basically yeah, it's come from just our friendship and just like Euros says, enjoying making music together.
Well, I remember seeing a very tentative early kind of performance at the LAN Festival a few years ago. And I'm not sure if all the songs, you kind of trying things out, but you were definitely having a lot of...
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. No, there's no denying that. It hasn't really progressed much from that. We're pretty much still in that... we don't want to get it too slick, so that's the
technical issues is our second name, really. We tend to have them every night, and we have had them every night, haven't we? Yes. Numerous technical issues, problems, tempo problems mainly.
There's nothing like watching people have fun, and I think that's such an infectious thing. That's what I was going to say, that Lan was, you know, even if things were going wrong, everybody in the room were just, you know, laughing with you, I'd say, not at you.
Well, yeah. I think that was the keyboard breakdown in the first song.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what went wrong. We weren't in we were in a bit of a dazed frame of mind as well, I think.
Yeah.
So, but it went alright. It was good.
So song-wise, there's a few that really stand out that, you know, I can almost see different influences from the other projects that you do. But Bread and Cave Dance in particular just kind of really pop out of the album.
Yeah.
What sort of inspires some of the songs and the lyrics and the ideas behind them then?
Bread was inspired by a book about bread. I mean, it really was. We had I've got a book at home, and it's about different breads from different parts of the world and how to make them. And I just happened to be showing it to Eros, and then we got talking about bread and what kind of bread we liked, and then we kind of thought there aren't really too many. So there are some songs about bread. There's a group called Bread. There's the Can't Let Maggie Go, even though the song isn't about bread, it was used in the Nimble adverts for listeners who are old enough to remember that. So that's a kind of bread-related song, but we didn't think there was anything that was, you know, had really nailed bread and as a subject matter for a song. And it kind of came from that, didn't it? We actually we did write that quite quickly, and we just kind of started thinking about the baker getting up and what would he do and what you have to do to make bread. It's a very interesting subject. Fascinating.
And cave dance then, Eros. I can't even imagine how this came about.
That was a conversation we were having in Norman's kitchen, and the conversation went, what shall we do tonight? And Norman said, let's watch a film video. And one of the imaginary made-up fictitious films that he came out with was Cave Dance. So we had to write, I think we had a gig at the end of the week or a few days time, so we had to write songs for this gig. So Cave Dance was quite handy because it went on for a while as well, so that was good.
Yeah.
Do tell me it's going to be released as a single, because I think it would go down a storm.
Well, that would be nice. So there's because it would have
With
to
a Wu-Tang inspired video as well.
Yeah, we would have to do the whole thing though, and it is 10 minutes long, so that would be nice. But yeah, no, it's quite. I mean, I suppose with that too, it was quite good fun doing that song, because we did sort of sit down and think, let's write a song about the history of music. But so it starts with like people hitting a couple of stones together, and then in the end you're sort of it's like Jean-Michel Jarre, something, really modern sort of techno stuff like that, because we're big fans of people like him. Oxygen. So. No, but yeah, so really we were just having a bit of fun with that, and I think we did get, when we got to about 7 minutes, we thought maybe we can get to 10 with it. We did. I was very happy when I saw that. We were sitting all playing, looking at the clock, waiting for it to tick over, sweating. We're going to make 10 minutes. It was an amazing moment when we pushed it over the 10-minute barrier.
You're both pretty prolific in terms of writing as well. Eros, on your, is it the 6th solo album now with Face Stripping was released recently. Tell me a little bit about how things are going as a solo artist.
Well, I've been busy, made a lot of records, played a lot of gigs over the last 5 years, 6 years, and been very happy and glad to be still making it, music, that is, yes. And
Norman, you were out with Teenage Fan Club and saw you at the ATP festival end of last year. So Bell and Sebastian curated. So how did it go with being back on the road?
Really good. We toured for about 3 months and went. I mean, it was a big long tour, and we went all over the place. We went to Seoul and Korea, and we went to Belgrade and Serbia. Amazing places, and it was we had a really great time. Actually, the day we played the bowling, we kind of had an unbelievably terrible hangover because we'd went out with Edwyn Collins and Grace the night before. We had a combined West Heath Yard and Teenage Fan Club Christmas night out, and I was not feeling too good when we hit the stage the next day. But it was great. We played with Edwyn the day after that too. So that was actually the last thing that we did pretty much of the 3 months touring. So it was great to have the last thing be playing with Edwyn, because he was a big influence on us, and he's a great guy.
a Teenage Fan Club inspired to go back into the studio now? Because there was quite a gap before the last album, which came out last year.
Yeah, I think we'd like to do it sooner rather than later. It was 5 years between our last two albums, you know, and that's probably just too long. We're considering Eros have released 6 albums in the time it's taking us to release one. We've got some catching up to do.
And in terms of Jonny, I hear that after this UK tour, you've got, is it Europe or America? Where are you heading?
Well, hopefully all over. Well, Europe, and then hopefully, I think America, and there's talk of possibly festivals and whatnot in the summer. So yeah, I think hopefully be busy up to the end of summer.
Another 5 years before album number 2, or will it come out a bit quicker now? Now the juices are flowing.
No, I think we've already got some ideas for another album. Well, our second album, and also something in between the two albums. Another album. Yeah, but the one in the middle won't be a kind of, you know, we'll have people will hopefully see what that is in just a few months. Well, it's going to blow people's minds.
I was absolutely thrilled to hear that you were both working together, because obviously I think people who have been fans of your music separately will just know it makes sense, and know that you know, even if we didn't know you were friends, it's just brilliant that you're collaborating. Who would you say is the kind of really influential sort of maybe Welsh musician that's had an effect on you, maybe growing up?
Well, we were very big Datblygu fans, you know, when we started Gorky Zygyd. So I'd say, yeah, Datblygu and then also a Cyrff. We saw them playing live a lot. And yeah, so those two, Ffa Coffee Pawb, lots of great late 80s, early 90s acts, which helped get a lot of ideas and help us kind of get to maybe being a band, really. You know.
You were a huge fan of listening to radio shows that would play new music and that kind of thing, Nia Melville. And is there anything sort of equivalent today that excites you in terms of new artists that you've heard of late? There's
great bands, you know. There's Sweet Maboo, Clwb great, and Racehorses, and all these great. It's the music I think is in general, in if we're just talking about Wales, is as vibrant as ever. I think there's always a handful of good bands out there. Yeah.
And likewise, what's happening in Scotland? You know, are there new exciting bands that you guys are into? Yeah,
I mean, there are. There's always a lot happening. I suppose if you think that, you know, the Chemical Underground's up there, just outside Glasgow, and again, I find actually, having spent some time down here in Cardiff, I find them to be quite similar in that there are quite strong musical communities and confident to stay in the city, you know, and all kind of seem to be, you know, like sort of back each other, as opposed to, you think you can get in London, you can get there can be a bit of people are more competitive, you know, bands. It seems that you don't really kind of have that here in Cardiff, and that applies to Glasgow also. And yeah, like I say, I think the both cities that seem to have quite strong musical identities, with, you know, labels based in the cities and sort of really vibrant music scenes. So.
Any bands that you can think of, Norman, that you've heard recently?
Well, you know, here's the thing. I don't live in Glasgow anymore, but people that I like, there's a group called Phantom Band, which is pretty popular in Phantom Band, but I like them a lot. I like the Racehorses album a lot that Eros was talking about. I think that's a great record.
Am I right in thinking you're in Canada?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I live about an hour west of Toronto, and which is good fun. Which means that I live about 2 hours east of Detroit, where they made all those great Motown records. And actually, sometimes I'm playing Motown records, and I think to myself, this record was made like about 2 hours away from here. That's kind of mind-boggling.
Well, thank you very much. It's nice to bump into you here in Cardiff, and best of luck for the show tonight, and for everything the Jonny project will flower into. So, Norman, Eros, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.